Yo, what is going on, guys? Winner Kills here, and welcome to round 2 for the week of locals feature matches. If you have not seen round 1, I'd invite you to check it out at the link up in the top right of the video. We had Phantom Knight versus Cyberse Eldritch. And here we have Dark Magician, the one and only Mark Magician on the left. The one and only Mark Magician versus my friend John on the right. PK John, VW John, the one and only. Let's hop right into it. But as these guys get started, let's take a look at the poll results really quickly. Ask you guys who you thought would win. Just over 400 votes as I'm recording, and it looks like Phantom Knight is heavily favored in this matchup, 70 to 30%. Let's see if you guys are correct. You were wrong in the last round, so let's see if you guys can redeem yourselves. This one might seem pretty easy, but Dragoon is a hell of a card. People have seemed to have forgotten about that. Dark Magician will win the die roll here, leading with the Red Eyes Insight into Red Eyes Fusion, who would have guessed, and dumping that beautiful 25th anniversary alt art Dark Magician and that gold rare Red Eyes to summon the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon and activate Secret Village of the Spellcasters. That is a pretty good lock to put up. Not only can you not use things like Droplet, which is typically the go-to out for something like Dragoon, nor can you use Dark Ruler unless you can put a Spellcaster on field, which a deck like Phantom Knight cannot typically do. And the only readily available Spellcaster they can put up would be something like Downward Magician, but that is in the main phase 2, which means you need to go through your battle phase. You don't need to attack, I guess, but you just have to burn your battle phase at most. So let's see how our Phantom Knight player can go ahead and navigate through this particular board state. We're going to see him normal summon Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit just to go ahead and make Psychic Weed Dealer live. A little bit of an obscure start here, but you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes to get into old Cherubini. I think I see an E-Telly in hand there for our Phantom Knight player, and I think I might have seen a second Red Eyes Fusion in the hand of our Dark Magician player as well. It's definitely a 3 of in this deck, not like we used to see in other decks in the past that were playing the Dragoon engine, just seeing it as a 1 of for the Anaconda play, but now we're going to see him link into the Cherubini as expected, setting 1 so that if the Dragoon decides to, for whatever reason, negate the Cherubini, he can go ahead and actually send a card so that the Cherubini does not get destroyed, and the graph still resolves, and the Seer can come out, importantly, to a zone that Cherubini points to. In this case, it's actually not going to be Seer. We're going to see him spec out the Scarm, which means that Seer is probably somewhere in his hand, which is not very optimal, but Scarm is a card a lot of people have liked playing in Phantom Knight that are not playing the Scythe Turbo build, as it is, a pretty good alternative if you draw the Seer, and also can just be a decent extender and sometimes, and also it giving you follow-up for Tour Guide is also really nice as well. We're going to see Dark Charmer activate. It will be negated by Dragoon, pitching that extra Red Eyes Fusion as expected, and that will trigger Gloomy's effect to go ahead and search a Dark Monster at, I believe, 15 or less defense from the deck to hand, so really, really solid in this deck. We see a lot of other decks out there right now in the meta playing Dark Charmer, but this is one of the decks that can really take advantage to search out pretty much anything in its engine when it is destroyed, and we're going to see him go ahead and grab a Kagamucha Knight there, and Graph also, or no, actually, we're just going to see him go right to the end phase. I was going to say, if you forgot to summon off of Graph, but no, we already saw him do that. And he gets the end phase search of Tour Guide, and we're going to see a Magicalized Fusion. Our Phantom Knight player cannot catch a break here as the second Dragoon is hitting the field. Yeah, your worst nightmares coming to life right now. Mine as well. Not just 1 Dragoon, but 2. If there's going to be any deck that can do it, this is the deck. And at this point, I think our Phantom Knight player is in a severe losing position. We're going to see him activate Illusion of Chaos. It will attempt to be ashed, and we'll see if he tries to negate with the Dragoon. Looks like he's not going to. He's going to let that go through. Says, I've got other plays I can make. I don't need to go ahead and use the Dragoon negate there. We're going to see him normal the Magician's Rod, and yeah, that's just going to seal it right there, it looks like. And essentially, since the 1 Dragoon was at 1,000 or an extra 1,000, because it negated the Gloomy, Yeah, it's just going to be game right there. So we are into a game 2 situation. Quick reminder, don't forget to check out the other ways you guys can support the channel at the links below, using the affiliate links I have to TCG Player, The Coldest Water, or using my discount code WinnerKills10off at checkout on ImperiumDuelist.com. So we will see Phantom Knights opt to go first here as expected, as to not have to run into Dragoon Secret Village yet again. We're going to see him lead with a pretty strong opening here. The Torn Scales and Boots, getting the Cloak to the grave, and also Wings as well. Going into the Cherubini here. Effect, go ahead and ascend the Graph. Graph effect, summon the Seer, which he did not open at this point. Now, another thing I guess he could have technically done the last game, because he opted to summon the Skarm instead of the Seer, and that had to have meant that it was in his hand, so he could have technically spec'd that Seer from hand to make an alternate play. But I don't know how much of a difference it would have made. Maybe could have gone into access code to like out the Dragoon at 43. I don't know. Maybe that could have been a play. I don't know. He might. I don't know if he had the extra room to go for it. He might have. I don't know. I keep saying I don't know, but I really don't. I literally just watched over it, but I don't remember. But we will see him go into Rusty and, effect of Gloves, search, or to send, and then Torn Scales effect. And it looks like we will see a Nibiru there. Pretty good point to Nibiru. He already did get to resolve the Rusty, I believe. So, I mean, definitely could have hit him with a Nibiru a little bit earlier to prevent that potential plus. But we will see him link the token into Link Spider. He has the E-Tele to keep extending. And you know what this means. 2 monsters into the Green Snake. And we're going to see him pay 2k. Dump the Fusion, Destiny, and Celestial and Dasher. Oh, how we love those 2 cards in our main deck for all time. And then we're going to see him activate Boots Engraved to go ahead and search. Going to go for Shade Brigandine here. Probably just as an extender to have later on. Not this particular turn anyways, but later on. And it looks like end phase, we will see the Enforcer popping the Anaconda and the Nibiru as to try to play around Super Poly somewhat. And we're going to see him pass turn there. It looks like I see Red Eye's Insight in the opening hand, which you know what that means. Easy access to Red Eye's Fusion. And we'll see if this is going to resolve. There's a possible hand trap here. It looks like we're going to see him chain DPE. Popping itself and the face-up Red Eye's Insight. I can only imagine he did that because you don't want to let him summon the Dragoon while the DPE is still on the field, because the DPE is not going to be able to do anything to it, so you want to get it off the field as soon as possible. And I believe that is something that can be done. You can go ahead and target a face-up spell while it's on the field and, attempt to destroy it. It's not going to negate it, obviously. It's why MST doesn't negate, but I think he just wanted to kind of preserve his life points a little bit there, because the Dragoon would come down. The DP does absolutely nothing to it. He pops it, burns for 25, and swings in for 3k. And if it negates the Dragoon Graveyard effect, I think that would have actually just been gain. That would have been 6,500 damage, yeah. So you got to play very carefully there. And now we're going to see him activate. Not sure what card that is, actually. I know Dark Magician got a lot of new cards. And there's the new field spell. I believe it's Magician's Salvation. I could be wrong. Gonna allow him to go ahead and set the Eternal Soul from the deck. And that will pair very well here to build a bit of a better board. I also see the Soul Servant in hand, which he will play. I think that will allow him to stack a card at the top of his deck. And then he can go ahead and banish it from the grave to draw a card. So basically draw any card, any pretty much like Dark Magician card in the deck. So he's going to go ahead and stack Circle. And this is a really good combo to have here. He has the Circle, as I believe the Circle is going to whiff. Or opting not to take any, because I think I saw a Rod there. I don't know what the exact text is on Circle. I think it just has to list Dark Magician in its text somewhere. But he does have Dragoon with Eternal Soul and Circle up, so he does have a negate from Dragoon and also a banish if he decides to revive the Dark Magician from grave with Eternal Soul. Because I think anytime a Dark Magician is summoned, you can actually go ahead and target a monster or a card on the field and banish it. It's been a while since I played against the Dark Magician deck, so I don't remember the exact specifics, but DPE is going to come back, and we will see Eternal Soul. This is going to force out the DPE immediately here. And he could try to banish it if this all resolves. And you definitely don't want to lose your DPE in this scenario because that is the quickest way to lose the game. Even though it really doesn't do much in the face of Dragoon. We will see the DPE attempt to activate, and we're actually going to see him negate the Dragoon, or negate the DPE with the Dragoon. The graveyard effect of DPE will still trigger. And, okay, so Circle looks like he can banish anything, as he will go ahead and use Circle to resolve there once that Dark Magician is summoned, banishing a Fog Blade. And really nothing is Fog Bladeable right now. You can't Fog Blade the Dark Magician as it does not have an effect. Obviously, you can't Fog Blade the Dragoon because it cannot be targeted. We're going to see an HFD here, and that is going to go ahead and clear all the spells and traps, and Eternal Soul will activate, destroying all monsters he controls, and of course Dragoon, being the absolute house that it is, cannot be destroyed by card effects, even your own card effects. We will now see Wings activate, bringing back Rusty, trying to get back into the game here. He is, has kind of managed to deal with all of the threats this turn. It's just what can he put up here? We'll see him activate Celestial Dasher. This would certainly help. Getting anything to out this Dragoon, because this Dragoon is absolutely going to win the game next turn if it cannot be outed. I mean, you just pop Rusty, and that's 2100 damage right there. And you have a non-targetable, indestructible, live Omni Negate on the draw next turn. So this is something that's got to be dealt with ASAP Rocky. Literally talk about an imminent threat right now. Of course, the negate's already been expended. All the other options expended, but it's just basically a ticking time bomb. You have to get rid of this Dragoon. And we'll see if he has a way to do it. Really, the only realistic way he has to out this is Access Code. I believe that's the only way in the extra deck right now to out it. Yeah. Zeus will not be an option with this particular hand, or this particular board state, as he would have to, he would have to crash a Breaksword into it, but I feel like it's definitely much more efficient just to try to go for an Access Code. And taking a good while here to think about this. We'll see him normal Kagamuchanite, and, wow, double Kagamuchanite off of the Celestial Dasher. That might just be absolutely bare minimum to try to get to this Access Code play. Normal Kagamucha, effective Kagamucha in hand, summon itself. And we'll see where this goes. We're going to see him overlay into Leviair. Leviair will go ahead and revive a Cloak. Cloak will go ahead and give that Rusty 800 additional attack. Linking into Dark Charmer here. And you can go ahead and steal a Dark Monster from the opponent's grave, which luckily there are plenty here. That of Red Eyes, Dark Magician, etc., etc. Now, he could also spec Boots from hand, too. Because I don't believe he's used Boots from hand effect yet. So, he could spec out, but the problem is with the monsters in his opponent's graveyard is they are non-effect monsters, and I believe you do need all effect monsters for Access Code, and I think the Link Spider has already been exhausted at this point. He had to use it earlier to go ahead and link off a Nibiru token to be able to get into the Anaconda in the first place. I believe that did happen. Unless I'm mixing this up with last game. We'll see him activate a Fog Blade Engrave. That's going to bring back the Cloak. And he does have to make a tough decision there because he cannot banish the Cloak to search Boots, and then also Fog Blade out the Boots. But we're going to see him go for Unicorn first, and then into the Access Code at 5,300 Access Code. So finding a way to the Access Code, no problem. Battle Phase will swing over for 13, and then 29, dropping his opponent down to, I believe, 4,200. Or 3,900. Yeah, because he'll take the 13 because the Dragoon negated once and did gain the attack. And yeah, putting him down to 38. I believe they slightly miscalculated the life points by 100, I think, but really doesn't make too big of a difference. We're going to see him pass turn there, draw for turn. It looks like a Magician's Rod that we know he's stacked with the Circle the previous turn. And then DPE returning in the standby phase here. And just like that, the favor of this game is completely shifted to our Phantom Knight player. And it looks like that will do it. We are on to a game 3. And we will see our Dark Magician player go first here. I see Red Eye's Insight. So definitely going to have access to Dragoon here. Well, if he decides to go for the Dragoon. Because Red Eye's Fusion does have that harsh restriction on it. Unlike Destiny Fusion, where either you use it or you don't. So we're going to see him activate. Okay, he's still going to go for the Red Eye's Insight after searching out the Magician's Souls. And I guess one of the nice things about the Dark Magician deck is with the Red Eye's Fusion. Yes, that restriction is normally a big turnoff for a lot of decks. But the Dark Magician deck definitely has a lot of extension in the form of its spells and traps to set up more interruptions. Things like Circle and Soul Servant and Eternal Soul and Magician Salvation. All other spell cards they can try to get to and play to make a better board. But yeah, there's that Ash Blossom. You definitely got to hold Ash for Red Eye's Fusion in this particular matchup, as it's probably the biggest threat that the deck is going to put up. And I believe still locked out of summoning monsters for the rest of the turn. Cannot normal summon or special summon. I believe you can still set under Red Eye's Fusion, which is why it was like so insane in the Subterror deck. We're going to see him reveal 3 here. And he will find a Salvation off the top, revealing Prep as well and one other card. I can't really see what it is. Don't know if that's what is it? The quick play Soul Servant. I don't know. So we're gonna see him activate the Magician's Salvation, and then we're gonna see him go ahead and grab an Eternal Soul from the deck. And I believe this can spec Dark Magician from hand as well. Just going to go ahead and read Red Eye's Fusion here, just make sure. Because I don't believe, even if you Ash Red Eye's Fusion, I still don't even believe you can do anything after. Which is why it's always so devastating to have Red Eye's Fusion get Ash. But he does have Nibiru here that definitely is going to put in work. We're going to see our PK player here lead with the Gloves, followed by a Kagamucha Knight being very, very loyal in this particular match here. Still can't believe the double Kagamucha draw off of the Destiny Hero stuff last game. Talking about wanting to draw just 2 different cards, right? Not 2 of the exact same card. Luckily, they could be utilized like they were. We're going to see him go into Breaksword and also spec out a copy of the Stained Greaves here. It's already 4 summons. So Nibiru is definitely going to be a bit of an issue this turn. How much of an issue, though, we will see. I mean, he might be trying to very carefully play around Nibiru here. Like, you could even just go Battle Phase and attack. And go for Downward into Zeus. But then that gets hit with Nibiru as well. Because, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4... I mean, I guess you could skip the Downer and get Zeus in under 5 summons. Because, like, wiping all these spells and traps off the field is going to cause him to go minus big time. But we will see him resolve Breaksword. It's going to force out that Eternal Soul very early. So he does not have to worry about any particular interruptions in the form of Circle. But is going to have to face the Nibiru now. Face the music. And not even having access to Cherubini or Rusty yet. And the Gloves has been expended. He does have Fogblade. So definitely can still get to Anaconda here. So we're going to see him link off the token into Link Spider. And then, yeah, into the Anaconda. I was going to say maybe he has a way to keep going here, but I don't think he had a way to Torn Scale since the glove has already been expended. So yeah, we're just going to see him, you know, pay 2k, dump the bricks and the fusion material, and then Boots to go ahead and search the Fog Blade. And then we're going to see him probably use DPE here to get rid of the Anaconda and the Nibiru. And then also, I mean, the circle is not so much of a problem anymore because it only gets the effect to reveal 3 when it is activated. So it's kind of inert at the moment unless he has a free way to spec out a Dark Magician. And then it's going to be kind of a problem because then you have to worry about protecting your DPE there. So we'll just see him pass on DPE Fogblade. Not a lot, but it's still enough through the Nibiru. And we're going to see him start with Magician Souls, so that is a way to get Dark Magician onto the field to trigger it. And we will see him send the Souls instead of summoning it, because the Magician Souls does 2 things, right? Has that other effect that everybody else uses in different decks that's not Dark Magician, and that has the effect to revive the Dark Magician if it sends itself instead of summoning itself. And it looks like he will chain DPE in response, because he does not want the circle to trigger to banish something. So Dark Magician will hit the board, and then DPE effect activating Engrave. It looks like he'll go Battle Phase, swing for 25. And don't know much how else he can do here. Unless he, Magical Eyes, or not Magical Eyes Fusion. Red Eyes Fusion is completely turned off at this point since he's already summoned. I see Red Eyes Wyvern in hand as well. Does have Magical Eyes Fusion. That is really, really strong. Banishing Red Eyes Wyvern and Dark Magician from grave. He will get access to Dragoon here. Dark Magician plus a Dark Dragon, I believe, or a Dragon Monster. Only gets access to 1 pop here, but I mean, you still get Dragoon. Yeah, and DPE really can't do much to that. Luckily, Salvation is on field, so he has a way to get it off board. We'll see him normal Boots, activate Kagamucha if the summon is successful, which I imagine, of course, it will be. There's really no way to stop the summon of the Boots here. And, yep, speccing out the Kagamucha Knight. I think also remembering to banish the Break Sword since it was summoned off of the Fog Blade. Always remember that. Anytime anything is summoned off a Fog Blade, it does get banished afterwards. Does not get resent to the grave. And I believe same thing with like Torn Scales. If it gets summoned by its graveyard effect, it does get banished when it leaves the field. So we'll see him link into Cherubini. And Cherubini going to resolve. Graph also going to resolve to summon out the Seer. And now we're going to see Celestial Dasher fire off. I mean, this would be a pretty good thing to stop if you're the Dark Magician player. Pot of Greed here, really good. Gotta put him on having the necessary resources. We will see him discard a Dark Magician Girl. And then we're going to see him, yeah, this is probably just going to lead to access code. I mean, honestly, don't think it mattered either way. You don't have a way to stop access code in general just because it can't be responded to. And that's just going to go over top of it. And with all this damage here, it will leave his opponent at 700. Since the Dragoon did not destroy the Celestial, it does not gain the 1,000, so it's still at 3k. So it'll take 23 and 25 for a total of 48. We'll see him pass turn, top decks the Nib. That's going to signal the end. You guys were correct this time around. And if you want to see more of my content, click on one of the videos popping up on the bottom of the screen right now. And last but not least, like always, a huge shout out goes to our Divine level channel members, and they are Tweeter0226, Pony Start, Cadillacs84, Keith Sidgers, and Justin Lamb. Thank you guys so much, as always, for your extremely kind and generous support of the channel.